Mafia wife invited poor Maid to party as a joke, but she arrived in a billionaire's limo, shocking everyone. The scream came from the entrance of the Imperial Grand Ballroom, not a small gasp. Not polite surprise, a full, shocked, uncontrollable scream. Crystal chandeliers trembled with the sudden silence that followed. Violins faltered mid-note. Conversations among CEOs, politicians, and Seoul's most elite families collapsed into whispers. At the top of the marble staircase stood a woman no one expected to see. Elena Park, the maid. The woman who cleaned Mrs. Adriana Romano's penthouse. The one who washed her silk gowns by hand. The one who polished the marble floors before charity galas like this. And she had just stepped out of a sleek black Rolls-Royce Phantom, the extended edition that cost more than most of the guests' homes. Adriana Romano slowly turned. Her champagne glass paused inches from her lips. Her smile disappeared, because Elena wasn't wearing something cheap. She wasn't awkward, she wasn't embarrassed, she was glowing. The gown flowed like liquid midnight, hugging her frame with impossible precision. Thousands of handset crystals shimmered under the chandelier lights. The fabric was unmistakable, custom European silk, the kind reserved for royalty and billionaires. A man near the front whispered, "That's a Valentino private couture piece." Another woman covered her mouth. "That dress was featured in Milan." "It's worth at least 2 million. Adriana's fingers loosened. The champagne glass shattered against the marble floor. No, this wasn't happening. 3 days earlier, Adriana had stood in her walk-in closet with 2 of her closest socialite friends, laughing. "Elena," she had called sweetly. Elena had appeared at the door, quiet as always. "Yes, Mrs. Romano," Adriana had smiled, that thin, polished smile that never reached her eyes. "My husband and I are hosting a table at the Royal Heritage Gala this Saturday. Only the city's most powerful families will be there." Her friends had exchanged glances, already suppressing laughter. "And we've decided to invite you." Elena had blinked once, calm. "That's very kind." "Oh, insist," Adriana had said lightly. "You work so hard. You deserve to see how the elite live." Then she'd added with a soft chuckle, "Wear whatever you have." The closet had exploded with laughter the moment Elena left. "She'll show up in something from a discount rack. This is going to be priceless. Your social media will explode." Adriana had imagined the humiliation, the whispers, the pitying looks directed at her maid. It would be entertaining. She had never once considered the possibility that Elena might outshine her. Back in the present, Elena descended the staircase slowly, gracefully, like she belonged there. The crowd parted without being asked. Phones were already recording. Adriana felt something unfamiliar crawl up her spine. Fear. Elena reached the bottom step and stopped in front of her. "Mrs. Romano," she said warmly, "thank you for the invitation." It was thoughtful. Adriana's lips moved. No sound came out. "You were right," Elena continued gently. "I wore what I had." A soft ripple of laughter spread through the crowd. One of Adriana's friends leaned closer. "How did you afford that?" Elena tilted her head slightly. "Oh," she said, "I didn't." A pause. "My father sent it." The air shifted. "Your father," Adriana whispered. "Elijah Park." The name landed like thunder. Elijah Park, the reclusive tech billionaire, founder of Park Global Industries. A man whose investments quietly shaped half of Asia's infrastructure. Several guests physically straightened. Someone muttered, "That's his daughter." Adriana's face drained of color. Elena offered a small, calm smile. "I prefer not to use my family name. I wanted to experience life without it." The ballroom buzzed violently now. "You're telling me," one executive said carefully, "you've been working as a maid by choice?" Elena nodded. "For a year. I wanted to understand how people treat those they believe have nothing." Her eyes met Adriana's. No anger, no cruelty, just truth. "If you're enjoying this story so far," Elena's voice seemed to echo in the charged silence of the room, "don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Kindness Valley. Because stories like this remind us that kindness always comes back around." The moment passed, subtle but intentional. Adriana swallowed hard. "You could have told me," she whispered. Elena's expression softened. "Would it have changed how you treated me?" The question sliced cleanly. Adriana had no answer. An hour later, the gala no longer belonged to Adriana Romano. It belonged to Elena Park. Business leaders approached her. Designers complimented her elegance. Investors subtly asked about her father's upcoming projects. Adriana stood alone near the bar. Invisible, the same invisibility she had handed Elena for months. Later that night, her husband, Marco Romano, pulled her aside. "What did you do?" he asked quietly. "I didn't know who she was." "That's exactly the problem," he replied. Marco was not just wealthy, he was strategic, calculating. His shipping empire relied on global partnerships, including quiet negotiations with Park Global Industries. "You humiliated the daughter of a billionaire who controls half the tech infrastructure we're trying to invest in." Adriana's stomach dropped. "She was just my maid." Marco's eyes hardened. "She was never just anything." Across the ballroom, Elena laughed softly at something a fashion editor said. Cameras flashed again. Adriana felt the weight of realization press against her chest. She hadn't been cruel because Elena was poor. She had been cruel because she thought Elena was powerless. There was a difference, and it was uglier. By the end of the night, Adriana did something she had never done before. She approached her employee. "Elena," she said quietly. "May we speak privately?" They stepped onto a balcony overlooking the glittering city skyline. The music inside softened behind glass doors. Adriana exhaled. "I invited you to embarrass you," she admitted. "I thought it would be funny." Elena nodded slowly. "I know. I treated you as if you were beneath me." A pause. "Why?" Elena asked gently. Adriana stared at the city lights. "Because I was raised to believe status is everything, that if someone works for you, they are less than you. And now," Adriana's voice trembled, "now I see how fragile that thinking is." Elena studied her for a long moment. "You didn't hurt me tonight," she said softly. "You exposed yourself." The words weren't cruel, they were honest. "I'm sorry," Adriana whispered. Elena's shoulders relaxed slightly. "I forgive you." That was the part Adriana hadn't expected. "You forgive me?" "Yes," Elena said. "Because I didn't come tonight for revenge." "Then why did you come?" Elena looked back at the ballroom, at the flashing cameras, the whispers, the shifting power. "I came to remind you that you never really know who you're looking down on." 2 days later, Elena resigned. Not dramatically, not publicly. She left a handwritten note thanking the staff who had treated her kindly, the doorman, the elderly cook, the driver who once brought her tea during a rainstorm. Adriana read the note twice. For the first time in years, her penthouse felt hollow. Weeks passed. Online, the video of Elena stepping out of the limousine went viral. Millions of views. Comments flooded in, "Plot twist of the century." She handled that with pure class. True wealth is how you treat people. But Elena didn't chase the attention. Instead, she launched something unexpected. 3 months later, Park Global Industries announced a new foundation, the Invisible Hands Initiative, scholarships for domestic workers, legal aid for underpaid staff, entrepreneurship programs for people in service industries. At the press conference, Elena stood behind the podium in a simple white suit, no $2 million gown. No dramatic entrance. "Dignity," she said into the microphone, "should never depend on income." Across the room, Adriana watched quietly from the back. No designer gown, no entourage, just reflection. After the event, she approached Elena one final time. "I've started volunteering," Adriana said softly, "at a community center." Elena smiled gently. "That's a good start. I don't expect forgiveness to erase who I was." "It doesn't," Elena replied. "It gives you the chance to become someone better." Adriana nodded. For the first time, there was no competition in her eyes, only humility. As Elena stepped outside into the sunlight, reporters called her name, but she paused for a moment alone. The limousine from that night wasn't there, just a quiet black sedan. She preferred it that way because the most powerful entrance she ever made wasn't about the limo or the dress. It was about walking into a room where someone tried to shrink her and standing tall anyway. And if there's one thing this story teaches us, it's this. Never measure someone's worth by their job title. Never assume silence means weakness. And never humiliate someone just because you think they can't fight back. Because true power isn't about making others feel small. It's about choosing not to. If this story moved you, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Kindness Valley. Your support helps us bring more powerful stories about dignity, humility, and real strength. Until next time, remember, kindness always finds its way back.